something that you can share?
Market share in the Philippines?
Yeah.
It will be not so big.
Or
Yeah.
okay. Or like maybe like the top players in the Philippines that you would consider your competitors.
Yeah, so within the active market is rather dispersed, right, in the Philippines. I think Indonesia, of course, the people that live in Indonesia, you would know that you would think that Mapi's dominance is something that is very common in other countries as well. Map Active's dominance. That is not true, of course, in other countries. Indonesia is quite a unique case in terms of the concentration, in terms of the activewear specifically. In the Philippines, we're a smaller party, and there are a lot more other parties. I think SM Retail would be probably the major competitor that you would be seeing in the Philippines. There are some competitors, by the way, coming into the Philippines as well, because we're not the only ones that see the Philippines as a very attractive market. I know that JD has opened in the Philippines as well, JD Sports. And there might be some other brands, or there are, as we know, actually other brands that are looking for entry into the Philippines as well. But overall, we have the benefit of our portfolio, of course, and we're quite confident that we will make Philippines profitable.
Okay.
It is
So
profitable, but even more profitable.
okay. So comparing all of those countries and Indonesia, if you compare the countries, where do you see Indonesia is in terms of demand or recovery? Is it better than the others? Is it in the middle?
Mm. It's a lower middle, I would say.
In
Yeah,
the lower middle.
yeah.
Okay. So the countries that you think is a faster growing would be like the Philippines
As
and
in, as in where macro is right now,
yeah.
yes, but that doesn't mean that, of course, in terms of us, our home base, of course, will always be Indonesia, and it will be the most, it is and will be the most important part of our sales as well as our overall
Right.
expansion strategy going forward.
Okay. Understand. And then if you can share a little bit on your online sales and what's your strategy there?
Sure. I think our strategy has not changed that much since post-COVID. Um, um, Definitely, maybe in terms of Mapa first, what we're looking at is a multi-pronged approach. So having our brand.coms or brand.ids rather, having a third-party platform presence as well, but more geared towards the lower end merchandise selection, and then having our own multi-brands as well, like Planet Sports, Asia, as well as even Map Club, of course. So it's really a multi-pronged approach. Luckily, of course, for most of our brands, we are exclusive distributor. So it doesn't really matter wherever it's being sold, it will have been sold through us.
Mm.
But yeah, digital sales has been stable around, you can see it actually now around 10% for the overall group, I believe this is. And yeah, it's definitely an important part of our overall sales, but it's also not growing extremely quickly as well.
I see. Do you have any target maybe in the next 3 to 5 years where this figure would be?
Not really. I think it will be higher for sure, maybe in the
Okay.
mid-teens or so.
In the mid-teens
Yeah,
in around 5 years time.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, understand. And then
And again, it doesn't really matter for us, right? We're quite agnostic. If you're exclusive distributor, it doesn't matter if you sell it on, and so if you sell it online or offline, and also unit economics are not that different.
yeah.
But if we sell it online or offline, you don't have your rentals, of course, you don't have your labor, but you have more marketing spend, and you have some other costs as well that are associated with online.
Okay.
Yeah,
Understand.
Amy, sorry, just want to add. I think we have discussed before that for us, the way we run this online is probably unlike the other platforms because we have this actually to integrate with the offline as well. So it's actually like Miguel is explaining that for us the economics is it's quite similar to the offline, but it's important to have this e-commerce because we don't want to turn down any customers. So by integrating the online and offline, we will lose much less sales because one of the other channels is supporting one another.
Yeah. And then by no means, because our offline segment, of course, is also significantly growing still, right?
Yeah.
The narrative maybe during COVID online will take over
Yeah.
completely. I think, of course, you saw that it hasn't materialized as such, and that's why we're
Yeah,
quite confident as well, continue to expand in the offline segment as well.
true.
Okay. Perfect, thank you. And then quite a lot of questions about the development on Ace Hardware. I think you discussed about this before,
Yes.
that you're gonna open it next year. Maybe if you
Yeah.
have some more colors on that.
No, it's still the same. We are currently basically doing our research. We're not going to rush into anything. We are planning to open next year, but it's not going to be extremely aggressive. For us, it's we're gonna test the markets. It's a new segment for us as well, so we don't want to rush into opening hundreds of stores on day one, right? So opening still targeted for next year, probably somewhere in the middle of next year. And at this point in time, we're just setting up the entire structure to support that.
Okay. And then maybe related to that, is there any other like big verticals or big categories that you currently don't have but might seem interesting for you to enter in the future?
Not at this point in time, but as senior management, as you know, is very entrepreneurial. So if the if the right opportunity comes along, of course, we are willing to have a look at it. But I think at this point in time as well, it's more about strengthening the current verticals that we have already. We talked about F&B, right? Maybe there might be some opportunities to add brands within the active space. Of course, in the overseas markets, we don't have the same portfolio as within Indonesia, so maybe strengthening our portfolio there, and even within fashion. There are definitely opportunities for us as well for brands that might be interesting. So it's more about the current verticals that we have as compared to starting new verticals.
Okay, understood. And then maybe speaking about the breadth of the brands, any brand in particular that that has surprised you in terms of growth, in terms of SSG, or either very high or it has dropped so low, so that we can see the dynamics of where the trends is.
I will let Burati answer this one.
You leave me the difficult one, Miguel. I think we spoke about it, that it's undeniable that digital or Apple is actually growing because we explained before the last Q that we were very late in the introduction of iPhone 16. It was supposed to be in October last year, and in fact we are able to launch it in April only. But despite of the delay, I think we saw that it's a lot of enthusiasts, still. Although any other countries have sold that. So it gives us a lot of encouragement. Not that we just want to focus on digital, but this definitely as our strategy to have diversified portfolio, because one segment can definitely support the other. And as you know, that active is still very strong because it has a diversified brands as well, and we actually able to target from middle to lower, middle to upper, and we have that kind of flexibility in terms of price range. And I think I've said this many times, so in case in the economy, like economy is down, people can still buy our products. If they're trading down, we still have the products for them. I think that makes it the brand's portfolio is it's quite strong. Although we would like to have it better, but at least it's quite resilient.
Okay, thank you, Bu. And then moving on to maybe tariffs, because entirely your inventory is imported. Has that affected you in any way because it's mostly coming from China and Vietnam?
Yeah, the tariffs
Miguel?
have, yeah, the tariffs haven't. No, so as in how would it
Really?
have impacted that? Because the
Yeah,
tariffs have remained the same, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, there's no impact, of course. I mean, there's no impact. I think that is the
Okay.
answer.
Okay, no impact. Okay. And maybe seeing 2026, because you haven't shared your guidance yet, but you have done your procurement, you have internally you have done so. So what's your view generally of where the economy is, where consumption is? You mentioned a little bit about improvement in October, right? But considering what the government is doing, demand on the ground, are you more optimistic or less optimistic about 2026 versus this year?
From a same-store sales we haven't formulated our guidance, right? And I think best to wait for that. I think what would be the catalyst to see very strong growth that is probably right now not really visible, right? So in that sense, I wouldn't expect same-store sales growth suddenly to go to, let's say, 15, 10, 20%, right? So in that sense, I think we're a little bit cautious still. Of course, we have seen a little bit of the green shoots, but I wouldn't expect 2026 to be significantly better than what you saw in 2025. Hopefully, we can get a little bit higher in terms of same-store sales growth. Generally, we need around 3 to 4% to offset operating cost inflation, right? Yeah, hopefully we can get there. But let's wait for Borati to formulate guidance.
Yeah, but I think the reason why we now, when we do guidance, I think within the end of first Q, because as you know that the macros of Indonesia, we've seen the fluctuation, and although our president is very optimistic by end of his term we can reach 8%, but as you can see that even in the third Q, GDP was actually below the second Q. I think we just want to have the most of the situation, the flexibility and the agile of our companies. It's very important, and we actually been supported by our customers, which are more resilient. But as for next year, as Miguel is saying as well, I think we have to wait how it does turn up in the fourth Q and the first Q. Then it's easier for us to actually look into the macros point of view.
Okay. And maybe related to that, can you remind us again about your pricing policy? In the event that rupiah depreciated significantly, how do you play around the cost pressure?
Yeah. So generally, we pass it on to the end consumer. So of course, most of the products that we buy are seasonal, right? So every time that a new product comes in, it's not the same. So technically, it's not really a price increase, but we price against the prevailing exchange rate plus a buffer. Generally, that buffer will be around 5 to 10%. So let's say the stuff that we're pricing now against will be priced already against probably around 17.5 to 18,000 actually, giving us a little bit of a buffer if there's exchange rate volatility. Gross margin, maintaining our gross margin generally is quite important for us.
Okay, perfect. And then a few questions on